Hi there, I'm Cori Osuna. Let's get started with sewing beginner basics. This is our spindle. Let's attach it here by pushing. Now let's get our thread. We want to be sure the thread comes off on the top of our spindle and we slide it into place. Next is our stopper. Go on ahead, be sure the flat side faces the thread and push that into place as well. Now grab the thread end and place it under the bobbin dial front to back. Now cross on top of your thread so you made a figure 8. We need that for tension, which refers to the tightness of how our bobbin will be filled. Grab your bobbin, look for 2 holes. Now we're going to thread through these holes. We're going to take our thread end and thread from the inside of our bobbin to the outside. Once your thread is through the hole from the inside to the outside, hold on to it and set your bobbin on the bobbin winder, then push toward the right. Now wrap that thread in around 2 or 3 times, continue holding and step on the foot pedal. The bobbin will wind. Once the bobbin is finished, it will stop. And you're going to push toward the left, lift your bobbin up. Now we're going to cut that initial thread that we put through the hole. Then we're going to cut to separate the bobbin from the spool of thread. You have filled your bobbin. Now remove the thread from the bobbin dial and wind it a bit so that there is no slack. To open the bobbin cover, push the lever to the right. Remove the cover. Now grab your bobbin. Be sure your thread is coming off from the back and set it into the bobbin holder. Now take the thread, slide it through the slot. Now move your thread towards the back and reinsert the bobbin cover. With your thread already in place, grab your thread end, push down from the front of the white hook and then slightly back, and then now wrap around from back to front for the metal hook. Now that we've placed the thread on the first hook, we're going to come down and around and then back up so that we can go into our second hook. Now grab the thread end and place it from back to front on the left side of our safety hook. Pull down so that there is slack. Hold the thread end about 1/2 of an inch away from the very edge and thread the eye of the needle from front to back. Once the thread is through the eye of the needle, use your index finger to hold the thread in place behind the needle. Now pull the thread to your left. Use your right hand to be sure the thread does not wrap around the needle. Next, place your thread underneath the presser foot slot, which is located in the center of the presser foot, and put the thread to the back of the machine. Grab the top thread toward the left of your machine. Turn the wheel towards you, a full turn until the needle goes all the way down and comes all the way back up to the highest position. Now pull that top thread to the left and look, that bobbin thread pops up underneath that presser foot. So we bring the top thread up higher through that presser foot slot so that you can access that bobbin thread. Pull it forward, and once you've pulled it forward, place both the top thread and the bobbin thread to the back of the sewing machine. Let's take another look at that. Grab the top thread in the left hand on the left side of the machine. Turn the wheel towards you one full turn until the needle goes all the way down and comes all the way up to the highest position. Bring that thread towards the front, pulling upward. You'll notice the bobbin thread. Pull it completely to the front of the machine. Then slide both the bobbin thread and the top thread under the presser foot and to the back of the sewing machine. Now, you're ready to place your fabric. Grab 2 pieces of scrap fabric, place it under the presser foot at the top of the fabric, lower the presser foot with the lever. Turn the sewing wheel towards you so the needle is in the down position. This is how we prepare to sew. You can also place your fabric onto the sewing table next to a sewing guide. Simply cut a rectangle 2 inches wide by 5 inches long. Tape it with a non-stick tape such as artist's tape and line it up at the very edge of your presser foot. This will be an easy way for you to be able to create straight lines. Place your fabric against the sewing guide, lower the presser foot lever, turn the sewing wheel towards you so the needle is in the down position. Here we go, stitching forward a few stitches. Now backward. That's a back stitch. Let's pan out and have another look. Place your fabric, lower the presser foot, turn the sewing wheel towards you so the needle is down. Step on the foot pedal gently to go forward a few stitches and then press and hold the reverse button. Then step on the foot pedal again to go backward a few stitches. Now let's go down the entire length of our seam and we'll add another back stitch once we get to the very end. This will ensure that our clothing will last and last. Now let's adjust our sewing machine so that we can create a zigzag. Be sure the needle is in the up position and turn the stitch selector to B/C. That would be one click to the right. Place your fabric under the presser foot slightly to the left of our guide. Lower the presser foot lever. Turn the sewing wheel towards you so the needle is down. Sew 2 or 3 stitches forward and then stop. Press and hold that reverse button. Sew 2 or 3 stitches backward. That's your back stitch. Now we'll zigzag the full length of our fabric. Here we are at the edge. We're going to do a back stitch. Press, hold the reverse button. Sew backward 2 or 3 stitches, and that'll do it. Take a look at our finished zigzag stitch. So we've connected the 2 pieces of fabric with a straight stitch, and we treated the seams with our zigzag. Grab a piece of scrap fabric and fold it in half. Draw a straight line to the left of the fold and then draw in a stopping point. Place your fabric under the presser foot so that the sewing needle will sew directly on top of the line you've drawn. Be sure that you've turned your stitch selector back to a straight stitch, which is letter A. Turn the sewing wheel so the needle is down. Place your hands to guide the fabric. Stitch forward 2 or 3 times, then stop. Step on the foot pedal, press and hold reverse. Stitch back 2 or 3 times, then stop. That's your back stitch. Now continue down to the stopping point of your pleat. Place another back stitch at the bottom of your pleat. Turn the wheel so the needle is up. Lift your presser foot lever, pull out the fabric and cut. That straight line has just created a lovely pleat. Cut all of your thread and take a really good look. Here's a quick tip: when you're cutting, try to use an angle with the position of your scissor. That will help to get a nice clean cut. Now open your fabric. Voila! Check out that cool pleat. It's just a straight line. Let's head over to the iron. Make sure it's set for cotton and press the top of the pleat only. Just the sewing area, not below it. Open up your fabric. Look how cool that is. Now we're going to flatten the pleat and we will press it, then sew across the top to keep it in place. At the ironing station, we're going to insert our finger in the depth of our pleat. Use your thumb to flatten it. Now we are simply going to place it on our ironing surface and we are going to press just the very top portion. Add a little steam to make sure that your press will hold. Flip it over. And we'll do the same thing, making sure to add a little bit of steam and only pressing the top portion of our pleat, which is where the sewing line was. Take a look at now how lovely your pleat looks. Now back at the sewing table, we are simply going to sew right across the top of our pleat, very close to the edge, about 1/8 of an inch away. This will be a stay stitch and it will allow the top of our pleat to stay in place. Let's have a closer look at that stay stitch. We are sewing right at the top edge, about 1/8 of an inch away. Lower the needle, stitch forward, stitch backward, go all the way across, do another back stitch. Lift the presser foot lever, pull your fabric out, cut all of the thread. Now let's take a look. Notice that I am cutting at an angle to get a nice clean cut. My scissors are always at an angle. And you want to be extra careful to get rid of all the thread as you're sewing. You certainly don't want to be walking down the street and have someone say, "Excuse me, there's thread on your garment." That would be the worst. Stay stitch completed. Let's practice sewing a zigzag after the straight stitch. The machine has been set to a zigzag stitch and notice the placement of our fabric to the left of our guide. It's in the center of that presser foot. Lower the needle. Let's create our back stitch with our zigzag. Stitch forward a few stitches. Press and hold that reverse button, then stitch backward a few stitches. Release that reverse button and continue down the length of your seam. Finish by adding a backstitch at the end, and then let's take a look. Let's begin practicing sewing zigzags on a curved edge. Grab a piece of fabric that's folded in half and cut a curve. Open your curve and prepare to place underneath the presser foot. Adjust your machine to the zigzag stitch. Now, as you place your fabric under the presser foot and you lower it, the idea is that you will not be on the right edge of the presser foot, but you're going to be in the center. Turn the wheel towards you so that the needle is in the down position. Stitch 2 or 3 stitches forward and then backward. Continue sewing and turn in a clockwise direction, keeping the fabric at the center of the presser foot the entire time. Add your back stitch, and that's it. Look how cool that is. You sewed a zigzag on a curved edge. Your shirt is going to look amazing. To finish the curved edge, we will simply turn it back and zigzag it one more time. We're only turning it back 1/8 of an inch. Turn the curved edge back 1/8 of an inch. Make sure your machine is still on the zigzag stitch. Place underneath the presser foot. Lower the presser foot. Turn the wheel towards you so the needle is down. Let's have a close-up look at the same thing. Fold your fabric back 1/8 of an inch and place under the presser foot. Make sure you line it up so that your fabric is not on the right edge of the presser foot, but in the center. Turn the wheel towards you, lower the needle, stitch forward 2 stitches. Now stitch backward, press and hold the reverse button. That's your back stitch. Now we're simply going to sew a few inches at a time. We adjust our fabric, and the secret here is that by sewing a few inches at a time and repositioning the fabric, we can nicely go around the curve. Now we're nearing the end. Let's add our back stitch, and we're done. Thank you so much for taking time to join Sewing Beginner Basics with me, Cori Osuna. I'd love to interact with you. I can be reached on Instagram at Cori Osuna. Until soon, happy sewing!